Sorry, I'm a mess. My cat is gonna knock over the it's just Dean. Sorry. Video, obviously, as you can read the title, about insecurity. Something I know a lot about. I don't know a lot about many things, but at least one area I do is insecurity. The thing is, funny thing about insecurity, and I'll just keep it focused. Funny thing about insecurity is it's often displayed in two diametrically opposite seeming ways. That is, such as like timid type behavior, meek, shy, even. And on the other side of the scale, narcissistic, and those two qualities aren't necessarily always separate to the individual. I think I myself still to this day often display either one, depending on situation, maybe even mood depending. Sorry, cats are known to be most active at dawn, and it just happens to be about that time. But I was trying to keep her away from the shot, but she likes her attention. The thing is, with me, well, I think insecurity is really difficult to point to a reason, like, not just, like, beyond, like, directly, whatever you're diagnosed with. If you are diagnosed with anything, just like narcissistic personality disorder or something, or any other type of personality disorder, or what, I think I can be fairly confident, at least to some degree. Sorry, allergies. Mine has a lot to do less with any direct environmental role, as in, like, neglect in childhood or any form of direct abuse at all, and more so just what I did not instill in myself early on enough in life. That being, ambition, and, well, too much is not great. We all need, to some degree, to be, pragmatic and developmental people, and, connections early in life, that I, could find myself in a place and time, and all of that compounding. Instead, I found a lot of scapegoats, and in my early years, childhood, prior to adolescence, I was borderline abusive to those around me, and not excusing that entirely with, insecurity. That's not right, even in that context, but just how I displayed often to scapegoats of, excuses, which I still continued to make and still continue to make to this day, and just kind of temperamental behaviors towards adolescence started to shift less towards temperamental and more towards kind of avoidant. Or instead of lashing out because I wasn't good enough or couldn't handle situations, I would just withdraw from situations and people and things. Which I think between the two things, is the better one, but still not great for both those around me and myself. And I think arguably, although I've come to a point where I have less clear avoidant tendencies, like, I don't really ghost people anymore unless I'm ending a friendship or one I used to date, romantic relationship. I still avoid talking about certain things with certain people, which is not completely unique to me, I know, but arguably more so than healthy. And moreover than that, my avoidant personality, I'm not saying avoidant personality disorder necessarily, but my avoidant personality has come to a front where I no longer really know like what I want to do in any regard. Because I'm always scared that going further in those areas will lead to. And I realize more and more. I started this video wanting to talk about insecurity overall, and I got stuck in a loop of talking about myself, which, maybe is a great picture for what such a thing can do to a person, but in a narcissistic kind of way. But moreover, talking about it in general, I think insecurity, you really just have to look at it in its literal, easy to see context. To be insecure is to be, vulnerable to, either your own sensitivities or others, will, or both in combination, which to some degree is the usual, at least as you get to a certain point. And I think the difficulty in insecurity is not always, in fact, as you develop, I think not usually, in regards to your outward composure, because that's in the early years, that's the main issue. All the others still there, but it's prevalent enough to the point where it doesn't even matter as much whether you can do things or whether you can stand things or whether you can handle things. The very fact that everything is just so clearly disconnected from you at that point. You don't even get to that conversation. As you develop and learn means of either hiding or to some degree quelling, if it still is instilled in you generally, the issue starts to become like the very tools that you use, the coping mechanisms that you use to get over such issues, and very often in some ways unhealthy coping, like in my case, I say my avoidant personality. It's very much a attempt to stave off my earlier tendencies to, be temperamental and so clearly antagonistic and confrontational, to the point that I'm so passive and so fickle that I just had a friendship end that was 90% of the time this person yelling at me to not be, I'm not going to say in as crude of a term as he said, but not be an idiot, like stop being an idiot, in much cruder terms than, in less crude terms rather than he'd say. He even tried to lit my hair on fire at one point. And I try to not talk that direct about people, but at this point, it's a dead friendship, and there's a lot worse I could say. But that's just an example of like where it could get you if you're not careful. I think the thing is, moreover, insecurity, it lies as it develops, because you start to believe as long as you don't present clear signs that you're anything less than you are more, but you're not really creating armor as much as you're creating little like signs that say armor, around your body, basically just type writing armor everywhere and hoping people just look at it and be like, oh, yeah, and some people do. Some people are like, oh, there's probably armor over there, should probably not mess with it. But enough people who realize it's just labels. It only takes a few jabs to realize, and as what happens when old wounds are touched that haven't been touched in a while. It's not always that pretty when it comes out, especially because you don't really notice that it's coming out, it's kind of almost, it's very, what's the word? I want to say elusive. It's not the word I'm looking for, but something, it's just, it kind of just falls out, and you don't realize why you're reacting half the time. And it's like, I don't really know, honestly, at this age, how there is an easy answer to properly handle insecurity, because I have really done a piss poor job at handling it. Like, I mean, I don't really think it requires much effort to see in me all these videos. The insecure shell that I am. I think it's pretty clear. It's that clear. I mean, I think I do a little bit of a worse job hiding it in these videos than I do in real life, but still, not so much. And even that may just because I occasionally look back. I can't replay my own life, so maybe it's just as bad in real life. I just don't realize. In any case, I think what you don't do is you don't mindlessly retreat. Because that insecurity it creates this voice telling you to just instantaneously change directions. You're vulnerable. All right. Just back up. And before you back up, maybe if you spend time recognizing why you're insecure, for whatever reason, early enough in your life to where it's fairly doable to get to the bottom of it. I may well be too far gone to cover it in my own grandiosity, but if one were to peel back the layers once you haven't covered them, maybe that's the answer.